And welcome everybody to the 133rd episode of the Fact Is podcast. We're your hosts, Nate Moses.
And I'm Brian Mays.
And I hope everybody is doing well tonight for the 133rd episode. Of course, we missed last week due to some
unforeseen circumstances.
We'll go with that. That works. And, it was a great time.
The alien.
The
aliens. I'm hopping right in today.
So
can't stop me, Nate. You can't stop me.
There were... we will go ahead and say it. The United States government has now confirmed that aliens exist. Extraterrestrials exist.
Or did they?
I think it's smoke and mirrors. You know my thought on this.
Of course. You're always smoke and mirrors.
There's so many other things that are going on that are so important that I feel like it just little Kansas City shuffle. Hey, aliens. Well, hey, let's talk about Ukraine. Let's talk about the Bidens. Let's talk about, Trump, all this other stuff. Aliens.
Dude, some of the TikToks that I've seen come out about this have been awesome.
Oh, they've been hilarious.
They're like, what do you expect from us? We've lived our lives in perpetual existential threats. We've had 9/11. Basically the first memory we have is, the Twin Towers going down.
Yep.
Then we have the war in Iraq, then the war in Afghanistan, and then the war in this, and then that. And it's like, you want us to
be worried about this?
Be worried about aliens. Bro, I can't pay my rent.
What? I ain't worried about no damn aliens.
Aliens, if they're here, cool, beam me up. Let's go to a better planet where I'm not getting screwed by the U.S. government.
But yeah, so
those are not my personal opinions, but that's the TikToks that
it's been great. As hopefully more evidence comes out there, of course, we will cover those topics. But as of now, it has just been confirmed that the U.S. government has recognized extraterrestrials. So it is.
They haven't just recognized them. They've released footage. They had people that were talking about it. You know what's really kind of crazy though is that the Pentagon blocked the SCIF, the secret room that they go. Not the secret room, but the secured room,
right?
Secured conference center, whatever. But they blocked the whole thing. They wouldn't let those guys go into that room. The whistleblowers go into the room, they revoked all their clearances and everything.
Interesting, isn't it?
So if they talk about it, they automatically go to jail.
Very interesting. Well, we will keep up with the alien discussion as they release more information there. But
here.
Let's hello Dean, welcome.
Faithful.
I see he's on YouTube tonight, so we'll keep up with your comments through there. But I do want to say let's go ahead and
hell of a golfer. That's what I wanted to say.
Let's
Dean, it was great playing with you the other day, buddy.
Let's go back to 2016, shall we? 2016, back again. 2016.
Hello, friend.
This is obviously a horrible year because who liked 2016? Actually, it wasn't that bad.
I love 2016.
We have a video that we want to show you all from that. Talking about how the 2016, back when Trump first got elected, put pressure on the Electoral College. So let's take a look at this video.
Back in this country, President-elect Donald Trump is now one step closer to officially sealing his victory. But the debate over the value of the Electoral College has intensified this year, in part because Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by almost 3 million votes. William Brangham has our report.
At the Maryland State House in Annapolis today, a rare sight for our cameras. Members of the Electoral College gathering to cast their official votes for president and vice president.
I vote today for Hillary Rodham Clinton.
After a simple roll call vote, Maryland's 10 electors have spoken and certified the official results for the state. Hillary Clinton swept Maryland on Election Day, and as expected, she received all 10 electoral votes. In just 40 minutes, more than a year of presidential campaigning comes to an end. But it's not just here in Maryland. Across the country today, electors from all 50 states and the District of Columbia gathered to do the same. From Pennsylvania and Virginia to Colorado and Michigan, even Bill Clinton is an elector in New York. Now, in most years, no one pays much attention to this process. The Electoral College vote is something of an afterthought. But this time, electors have been under a lot of pressure. Some even received hate mail and death threats because some voters wanted them to change their votes and deny Donald Trump the presidency. We all know the White House hinges on that magical 270 number. That's the simple majority of 538 electoral votes. It's a number Mr. Trump clearly reached on election night.
The Associated Press is calling Wisconsin, so that puts him over the top. Donald Trump is the next president of the United States.
That's the theory, at least, because most states have laws that bind electors to cast their vote according to the popular vote in their state. If they don't, they can be replaced or punished with a fine. But some states do allow for what's called faithless electors, and they can vote for whomever they want, regardless of how their state voted on election day. Now, these faithless electors are pretty rare. There have only been about 160 in history, and they have never flipped the outcome of an election. To have upended Trump's victory this year, it would have taken 37 electors to change their votes, and that didn't happen. There were a handful of would-be defectors this year, including ones in Georgia and Texas. They chose to resign as electors rather than vote for Mr. Trump. They were replaced by Trump supporters. But only one Republican had come out publicly as a faithless elector, Chris Suprin from Texas.
I'm not voting for Donald Trump because I don't think he is the right man for the job.
And Harvard Law professor Lawrence Lessig, who briefly ran for president as a Democrat this year, argues electors have a moral obligation to vote their conscience.
Our goal is to let the electors exercise their judgment. The Electoral College was made for this election precisely.
But Trump's incoming chief of staff, Reince Priebus, says these efforts are just sour grapes.
It's about Democrats that can't accept the outcome of the election. It's about delegitimizing the American system.
As they've done in elections past, the states will now send their vote totals to Washington, D.C., where Congress will tally them in a joint session next month and officially announce the election results.
Barack Obama of the state of Illinois has received for President of the United States 365 votes.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm William Brangham.
And as we reported earlier, one additional Republican elector in Texas voted against Donald Trump, bringing his number of defectors to 2.
There you have it.
So we're back.
So going back, 2016, I don't think a faithless elector should even be a thing. I think, you should follow what your people vote for. But now what it takes people understanding that your vote does matter, but it matters on the local level, especially.
Yeah, the local level, I think, is where the vote matters the most.
Agreed.
Although you see, in the national level, your vote matters there as well.
It does.
In 2000, Al Gore versus George Bush. I think that was decided by 500 votes.
Yeah,
Florida.
When they did the recount,
craziness.
Right? Yeah.
So your votes definitely count. So just get out.
Yeah.
And if you happen to be in one of those states that have the faithless electors, I'm sorry, that sucks. Yeah. That's not fun at all. Knowing that one person could just feel really strongly about a topic and then completely go against your entire state's wishes.
Yeah, it's kind of wrong.
That's crazy to me.
But yeah, so just thoughts there, things to think about. Again, going back to 2016, back when Donald Trump was president. So, good things to think about going forward into the next elections as well.
What was crazy about 2016?
What was that?
Started ushering in the best economy we'd ever seen.
It was definitely an economy. I'll say that.
No, seriously, it was the best economical times like we have seen in our life.
In our life, maybe, yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess when I was a kid, there were probably times that were better, at least for my parents, than
weren't you
maybe
born in like 2000?
Sheesh, now. I wish.
No, I guess the 90s we were in a surplus. Like the 90s were pretty good under Clinton.
Yeah.
Outside of the whole Lewinsky thing, but yeah, I remember the 90s being a pretty cool time.
Yeah.
But that was before like technology, so
that was before it became
also
a big
maybe
thing.
Why it was a cool time.
Yeah. Before technology, when culture and family and things were like that actually mattered.
Yeah, dude. Sorry, not to bring that get off topic, but I remember being a kid, like my daughter's age, right, like 8 years old,
right,
and my family had this plot down on the river, and like I would just go run into the woods, and my family did not care.
No, not
like,
not then.
Come back.
Yeah, not then. Those were the good old days. Dean says Facebook wouldn't let him stream to his TV, so he said Ryan enjoyed golfing with you as well, and they'd do it again soon.
awesome.
So nice. All right, let's fast forward though. Let's go to 2020. So leading into 2020, they're now Trump facing federal charges for efforts to overturn the 2020 election. So this is actually a new indictment that was brought upon him, if I'm not mistaken, just a couple days ago, or actually just yesterday, I believe, right? Yeah,
Yesterday,
so,
the first.
So let's go over this real quick. Donald Trump was indicted on Tuesday for his wide-ranging attempts to overturn the 2020 election, the third time in 4 months that the former U.S. president has been criminally charged, even as he campaigns to regain the presidency next year. The 4-count, 45-page indictment charges Republican Trump with conspiring to defraud the U.S. by preventing Congress from certifying Democrat Joe Biden's victory and deprive voters of their right to a fair election. The charges stem from special counsel Jack Smith's sprawling investigation into the allegations Trump sought to reverse his loss to Biden. Despite a dizzying and growing array of legal troubles, Trump has solidified his status as the frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination, according to the public opinion polls. Weeks of assertion that the election had been stolen accumulated in a fiery Trump speech on January 6, 2021. As Congress met to certify the results, soon after his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol in a bid to stop Congress from formalizing Biden's victory. So more than 1,000 people have been arrested in connection with the January 6th situation, which is wild. I didn't realize there was that many arrests. That's news to me, learning something new. Trump and others organized fraudulent slates of electors in 7 states, all of which he lost, to be certified as official by Congress on January 6th, the indictment said. The indictment lays out numerous examples of Trump's election falsehoods and notes that close advisors, including senior intelligence officials, told him repeatedly that the results were legitimate. These claims were false, and the defendant knew they were false, prosecutors wrote. When the push to certify the fake electors failed, Trump sought to pressure Vice President Mike Pence not to allow certification of the election to go forward, and took advantage of the chaos outside the Capitol to do so, according to prosecutors. During the violence, Trump rebuffed calls from his advisors to issue a calming message. So, I mean, this is an interesting indictment charge that they're coming up with. I mean,
wow. Do you see that? In a statement, the Trump campaign said he had always followed the law and characterized the indictment as a persecution reminiscent of Nazi Germany.
I remember when he was doing that. Yeah, because he was trying to say that they're coming after him, you know, like he's, yeah.
I mean, so I don't...
Like a witch hunt, basically.
I don't think it's Nazi Germany, but, you know, at what point do we say, dude, they are throwing stuff against the wall and trying to see whatever will stick?
This one I will say I'm a little interested in, the indictment, of course, because I don't quite understand
crime on him for this.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how just because he thought it was illegitimate and he tried taking it to the court system, he got shot down. You know, I mean, so he did. I don't know if he necessarily broke a law on this.
If you go back and if it goes to court and they play his speech, like he very, very clearly said, we're going to march up to the Capitol where we're going to peacefully protest. He said, and I mean peacefully.
in the old Donald Trump way.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know how they can pin any of this on him.
Yeah. So
like, this is probably one of the weirdest ones that I've seen.
Yeah, this one, like I said, is kind of interesting because I don't personally understand what kind of, again, like charges they could bring on him, because to me, you know, again, when he tried taking it to the legal system, he got shot down. Everything got shot down. Look, Biden won. Okay, so he got shot down, and it is what it is. Now, I mean, he kept saying it over and over, but I guess that's his right to free speech.
I mean,
yeah. And if people believe him, they believe him.
But
right, you don't want to incite violence based off those speeches. But
the only thing that was violent was January the 6th, and he very clearly was not using that rhetoric. He was saying peacefully protest. We're going to march down and we're going to peacefully protest. Protest. He said it multiple times.
So yeah, and me not being a huge Trump fan, of course, you know, I'm not. I don't like the guy, but I mean, I have to sit here and, you know, question what can they really hit him with in this one. So it's just interesting that this indictment came up yesterday. Stu, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well.
Oh, man.
It's tough.
Yeah, I say let's go over the next stuff.
Go over the next couple things and talk about it.
Yeah.
Ryan, you have anything else you want to throw in there real quick?
Yeah, I mean, did you see the thing that I sent you earlier? I think I sent it to the group chat.
The timeline.
The timeline.
Where as soon as something would happen with Trump,
No. As soon as something happened with Biden, the next
then
day,
it was
an
Trump.
indictment hit.
Yeah.
And it's happened 3 different times now. So it's like, not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, although I've been saying aliens, I've been saying it, and it came true. I don't care what y'all say. Anyway, but not trying to be like a full out conspiracy theorist here. But when are there coincidences? Like, especially when they're in that tight of a time frame,
right?
Like every time some big news comes out about Biden and it's damning, the next day it's covered up by Murcielago raid,
right?
The indictment of Trump the first time, now this indictment, like it's all literally boom, boom, boom. Oh, by the way, you're upside down on that.
I am upside down, making it interesting.
So and like I said, not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I do find that interesting.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean,
take that for what you may.
I mean, the facts are the facts, right? If it truly the timeline lines up to where something was released on Biden and then immediately after something on Trump, it does look a little
fishy.
A little weird. I wouldn't mind if again they took both of them out of there. that'd be ideal.
Amazing. Could you imagine right now? Like, just pause, everybody, right? And I want you to think in this beautiful, perfect utopia: Vivek Ramaswamy versus RFK Jr. for the presidency.
That would definitely mix things up and make it a little more interesting. And I feel like people would actually get involved a little bit more.
2 populist candidates running for office that have clear good wits about them, unwilling to attack their opponents. For God's sakes, Vivek just filed a lawsuit against the DOJ for the Trump indictment.
Trying to get information, like what do they actually have on it.
Yeah, he tried to FOIA him, and then they didn't respond to his FOIA, so now he brought a lawsuit against him.
Yep.
So it's like these 2 guys, and every time I've seen so many interviews with RFK where they have set him up to attack Biden, and he just refuses. He's like, I mean, things do sound interesting. Maybe we should open an investigation, but that's not what I'm here to comment on. I'm here to bring people together. I'm not here to divide.
But I'll tell you what. So going into this next article, let's talk about this next one because it gets interesting, even more interesting. So let's talk about the Trump allies being charged in connection with the conspiracy to breach voting machines in Michigan. So former Michigan GOP Attorney General candidate Matt DePerno and former state rep Dare Rendon were charged with violating Michigan election law Tuesday in Oakland County Circuit Court. The charges stem from a special prosecutor's investigation into an alleged conspiracy to breach voting machines orchestrated by allies of former President Donald Trump who fought the results of the 2020 election. Oakland County Circuit Court's docket did not indicate charges filed against any of the other individuals referred to the special prosecutor. Muskegon County Prosecutor DJ Hilson for investigation, although pro-Trump attorney Stephanie Lambert Juntilia indicated last week that she was a target in the election probe. In an initial statement, Hilson said that the process is still ongoing and not over. The charging decision against DePerno and Rendon was the result of a thorough decision-making process by an independent citizens grand jury, Hilton said. Although our office made no recommendations to the grand jury as to whether an indictment should be issued or not, we support the grand jury's decision. We will prosecute each of the cases as they have directed in the sole interest of justice. DePerno says all of this lacks merit and has essentially no backing to it. So we'll see what happens there. The investigation into a voting machine breach began when the Michigan Secretary of State asked Attorney General Donna Nessel's office and Michigan State Police to investigate third-party access to voting equipment used in the 2020 election. Documents from the Attorney General state 5 voting machines were brought to Oakland County where they were broken into. A grand jury was convened in the matter in March, and according to a court opinion and an order from Oakland County Circuit Court denying a request from Juntilia to stop the court from weighing in on the key election law on voting machine access to the heart of the criminal probe. So this is, again, very interesting because it kind of brings us back to like the 2020 and talking about what can they hit him with. Well, now with these individuals, who are, I believe, of course, Donald Trump backed, and were siding on his side. Going back to the indictment, now maybe it has something where you can actually look at, hey, he tried overturning it physically. So it's
what are they going to try to
interesting.
hit him with? RICO? Like racketeering and
Maybe
conspiracy?
Maybe. But even then, being
That's
able to
like-
say that
that's
Trump
such a
was the one who
loose-
set it up,
Yeah,
is
unless they
kind of
have
tough also.
hard evidence. Like, that's such a loose indictment. And I
Ye-
feel like this is going to be the horizon. I mean, it's just going to be one thing after another. They're going to continue to prosecute this guy until they get him out of there fine.
And I'll be honest, I kind of hope they do the same thing Joe Biden. I mean, seriously, these are
At
people
this
that
point-
need to be out.
At this point, like
Yeah.
with what has come out in the oversight committee, yeah, I would say so. I think that you make a very interesting point right there, because if the DOJ is going to such lengths to try and persecute Donald Trump for these different crimes, why isn't that same DOJ putting the time and effort into investigating what amounts to basically could potentially be bribery by the ex-vice president, now current president,
Right.
and his son, and how they had a quid pro quo shell business going on where they were just getting paid to be places and like use their influence, and like this whole thing with Burisma, and then Biden going to Ukraine and literally getting the prosecutor fired
Mm-hmm.
and withholding U.S. aid to the country. Like, that's what they impeached Trump about, was probing that scenario.
Through Russia, yeah. So,
Well, no, he went to Ukraine and was like, hey, we need to look into this.
yeah, and
And then they were like, oh my God, he's using his power as president to persecute a political opponent.
yeah,
And they impeached him for it.
And then they got they were trying to get on Trump back with Russia back in what was it,
Yeah, that
like
was back in 16.
2017, 16, yeah. So yeah, like same situation there, but with Trump with Russia. So
But see, the thing that really irritates me, man, is like, if this were Trump, if this laptop had come out and it was about, Trump Jr. and it was doing, would he be receiving the same treatment as Joe Biden is right now?
definitely a fair question to ask, right?
Based on what has transpired over the last 3 years, I would say absolutely not. And in the years before he even left presidency, they impeached the guy twice.
Right.
So, and it really sucks because I'm on here and it sounds like I'm defending the guy. I really don't want to do that.
You just want it to be fair.
But at the same time, if we're going to call a spade on one side, then we need to call a spade on the other side.
I'm all for it.
And it needs to be Lady Justice with her blindfold on and holding the scales.
Yep.
Because right now the scales look to be tipped in one side's favor.
Yeah, I say tear both skills down and just start.
No.
Start
I say
over.
just take the weight off of one side and let it balance.
There is that. I don't know. I'm just and you all will see how we touch up on the end of the episode when we talk about the age of people in Congress and how bad it's gotten.
yeah.
over
Well,
all
I think
this.
we
get
can
into
all
that.
come to agreement as to why they go after Trump versus others.
Because
is-
yeah,
I would say that he is not a part of the establishment, but that does not mean he is not corrupt as well.
right. Yeah, because he's
I'm not saying that at all.
he's not part, like he's not playing the games of either Republicans or Democrats. So both sides are starting to go against him, like you said, not part of the establishment, but he has corruption
Because
just like anybody else.
He's not corrupt in the way they want him to be corrupt.
Exactly. He's corrupt in his own way.
Like, hold on here. We've been doing this thing in Washington for a while now, and why aren't you playing the same game?
Why are
Like,
you
come
coming in
on here,
doing your own
guy.
corruption scheme? Hold on now.
Like, wait. You're trying to corrupt in your own way? That doesn't really jive with us.
Now, I like this comment by Dean, though. He says, so do all these indictments help or hurt Trump?
I think they help him.
I think it depends on whether he gets actually charged or not. So if he gets truly charged with a felony, he's screwed because he can't run for president. If he doesn't get charged, he's the next president in 2024.
Absolutely looks like a witch hunt.
He is next president in 2024 because of the people that are behind him. I mean,
Not even just the people that are behind him, but like the amount of people who are sitting here watching this and nothing sticks.
Yeah.
if nothing sticks out of all of these indictments, then you're looking at this like, holy crap, dude, this is political persecution.
Yeah, like I know we were talking about potentially putting an article in here, but I mean, a lot of what Trump is doing right now, he's using the donations from the people who are donating for him to help with these legal fees and stuff. So the amount that he's put, like money that he's getting donated to, is ridiculous as well. Like, people truly want this guy in office.
I think it's like 40 million.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
Like something like $40 million of donations have actually gone toward Trump's legal battles.
There's a like, this man has a following, so I wouldn't put him down quite yet. And again, if nothing sticks,
well,
I think he's the next president.
He's like so far ahead in all the polls.
Republican side, yeah.
On Democrat side too, he's way ahead, isn't he?
I'll be honest, I haven't looked at polling.
Dude,
I knew he was a Republican front runner.
Oh, no. It's not even close on the Republican side. But,
I think they're kind of neck and neck, Biden and Trump.
Huh?
I think they're neck and neck, Biden and Trump.
Are they?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know how, though.
How? Biden has like a 28% approval rating.
But
well,
Trump's is like 30-some.
Yeah.
Well, I guess when you got crap, you got crap. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Which crap do I want to pick?
But the worst part about it is right behind them, the number 2 in both polls,
right?
Vivek and RFK would make amazing candidates.
A lot better than what we have right now.
And I think that both of them would do a damn good job of bringing the country together.
Yeah, all I can say is, we will keep on top of these, of course, because we want to ultimately know if anybody does get federally charged with a felony. So we will keep on top of that. But moving forward, because, we have a lot more to cover. I do want to make sure we get through everything tonight. Like I said, we will keep on top of all that, especially with the Michigan, the co-conspirators getting charged, and Trump and Biden and all that. We will keep on top of that. But this next one's pretty interesting too. So federal prosecutors reveal Proud Boy witness was informant. So let's talk about this a little bit. So federal prosecutors disclosed Wednesday that a witness expected to testify for the defense at the I literally played the pronunciation of this word. Seditious. Yeah, is essentially conspiracy trial of former Proud Boy leader Enrique Tarrio and 4 associates was secretly acting as government informant for nearly 2 years after the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, a defense lawyer said in the court filing. Carmen Hernandez, a lawyer for former Proud Boy chapter leader Zachary Rell, asked the judge to schedule an immediate emergency hearing and suspend the trial. Until these issues have been considered and resolved, lawyers for the other 4 defendants joined in Hernandez's request. It's the latest twist in a trial that has been bogged down by bickering between lawyers and the judge and already lasted much longer than expected. Defense lawyers have repeatedly asked the judge in vain to declare a mistrial over a variety of issues they say have been unfair to their clients. The trial in Washington's federal court is one of the most serious cases to emerge from the January 6 attack. Tarrio, Rell, and 3 other Proud Boys, Joseph Biggs, Ethan Nordian, and Dominic Pizzola, are charged with conspiring to block the transfer of presidential power from Donald Trump to Joe Biden after the 2020 election. Nordian of Auburn, Washington, was a Proud Boy chapter leader. Biggs of Ormond Beach, Florida, was a self-described Proud Boy organizer. Rell was a president of the Proud Boys chapter in Philadelphia. Pizzola was a Proud Boys member from Rochester, New York. So there is a lot of bickering and frustration between like the judge and all that good stuff, because they're trying to keep these informants obviously, secret. They don't want to put the names out there, obviously, of these informants until it comes time for the trials and actually being able to like have witness testimonies. So, there has been a lot of backlash and frustration about them not putting those names out there. But it's like, why would they, right? You're if you put somebody in a witness protection program to come to a trial, you're not going to sit there and just throw their name out there. So,
no joke.
Yeah. So, interesting topic there as well. So Proud Boys now and their efforts to try to back Donald Trump apparently. So now there's a lot of things leading to this Trump indictment. Now, again, will any of this stand without these other ones standing? I don't think so. So,
Oh, man.
and then how long until these trials are done? I mean, let's be real. I've been, interestingly enough, I've been watching a lot about like murder files and things of that nature, just because it's all interesting to me. A lot of these trials take 2 to 3 years after the incident. I mean, when they last that long, if we're looking at like right now, it's going to be 2025, 2026 by the time any of this is done. So
what happens if he gets in? Okay, so what happens if he gets elected?
And then he does get found guilty or something. I don't know. I guess it goes right to the vice president, I'd imagine, right?
No, I don't know how that works.
See, neither do I.
I don't know, because I think, isn't it like while you're president, like your court cases are suspended or something?
Yeah, I was gonna guess that he gets immunity.
I was gonna say he could just get immunity because he could
pardon
pardon himself.
couldn't he?
Yeah, he can just pardon himself. I'm pretty sure.
Vivek also said that he would pardon him, but hey, I've got to
Duty
peace out
calls.
for just a second. I will be right back.
Duty calls, my friend. You enjoy. Me and Stu will sit here and talk about this. So, Stu, when it comes to the Proud Boys, what do you think there? What are you thinking here?
When it comes to the Proud Boys, and apparently there were FBI informants in that group, and then there was another group, the Oath Keepers, and there might have been one other group. But anyway, the FBI has all their tentacles in all these groups and have informants in these groups. So you asked me about my opinion on this January 6th indictment of Trump. I don't know how, unless they haven't put that information out yet to the public, I don't know how they can tie it to Donald Trump to indict him, because yes, he did say we'll walk down to the Capitol, etc. To me, I don't believe he incited violence. I don't think he told them to, go break in and do all the things that happened on that day.
Yeah, it's not like he was telling them to do it.
I do know that there was that Georgia call that's been a topic where he calls the governor and says, like, find me 11,000 votes.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're going to use that as evidence. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to wait on this one.
Right.
To see if there's more information to come out. Right now, I don't see how they can convict him of overturning the election. I know he keeps saying it was fraudulent and he thinks he should be president, and I know there's lack of evidence of that.
Yeah,
but where do you draw the line from his free speech, to
like inciting just like complete propaganda kind of thing? I don't know, that's tough.
And like I was telling you earlier, if this was premeditated, then the FBI had to have known that it was going to happen.
Right.
Because if they're in all these groups and this was some premeditated thing, then they absolutely knew that this was going to happen. Yep. Versus they didn't know, then it wasn't premeditated. Both cannot be true at the same time.
No, you're right. So if that's the case, then why did they just let it happen? Is one question. And then the other question is, if they didn't know it was going to happen, obviously those informants must have not been very deep into like the circle, if that makes sense.
And then just to set the record straight, whoever is, if you're in Donald Trump's shoes and you lose the election, you have every right to ask for a recount.
Yeah.
And go through the process like he did. Every ex-president has, or candidate has every right to ask for a recount and go through that process. Every single
100%.
one. So I don't know in this case how they draw the line. Like I said, if there's more information, we'll wait for that. But right now, I don't know how they can separate Donald Trump's free speech and his right to think that it was a fraudulent election to convict him of this.
No, I like that. I like that take a lot. That's a really good point. So obviously, as more information comes out, again, we will keep on top of it, because we don't even know where all of this lies right now. Because it's such a sticky situation, and there's too many pieces to the puzzle to necessarily navigate right now. So as they start to actually have results with these indictments and a lot of these court cases going on, of course, we'll be able to kind of put it all together and be able to tell you exactly what happens. But for now, we just have to wait for more facts, right? Because anything right now is just hearsay. Oh, I think this, I think that, and we can give our opinion, this, that, the other, whatever. But none of it truly matters until, pen goes to paper and action, or words become action. So right now, we just got to wait.
And just to add, obviously there was some violence on January 6th and people breaking into the Capitol.
Yeah.
I don't want to discount all that stuff that happened.
No, not at all.
But they put what's his name, the shaman. They put that guy in there in jail for 4 years, and then that video came out of him just walking through the Capitol, not violent at all. You remember that?
Invited in by
he was just
the police
he was
officers.
just walking through the Capitol. We didn't see him do anything violent.
Yep.
And he was sentenced to 4 years in jail.
Absolutely insane.
I don't know. Right. I think there is a lot to this January 6th stuff that needs to be uncovered. There's still a lot of gray area.
Agreed.
But yeah, like I said, from the information given, I don't know how they can fully convict him of a crime here.
No, I completely agree. So this is something that we're just going to have to continue to watch and continue to break down for you week by week until we actually get results. So, as of right now, we're just going to say we will keep you all updated because that's all we can do. Again, everything else is just hearsay. We good on that topic? Good to go,
good,
with
brother,
old Trump?
man.
All right, love it. Let's move right along then. So let's talk about classified docs. So more document talk. How Trump case differs from Clinton, Biden, and etc. So as former President Donald Trump was arraigned today on federal charges related to the retention of classified documents. Now this was back in June. One of his primary defenses has been that he is a target of unfair selective prosecution. Hillary Clinton, President Joe Biden, former Vice President Mike Pence all mishandled secret government information, Trump supporters note, but only Mr. Trump is facing charges. So why they wrote this, not every case involving mishandled documents, classified documents, even when someone knowingly takes them, gets prosecuted. The key factor in the Trump case seems to be the former president's actions after the discovery. So the cases might seem alike on the surface, but legal experts say they differ in crucial ways. Ms. Clinton accessed government emails, some of which contain classified reference on a private server while she was Secretary of State. Mr. Trump kept boxes of actual classified documents in unsecured locations after he left the White House. President Biden and Mr. Pence also had classified materials at their homes or offices, but they appeared to have cooperated with the government and handed the files over once they were discovered. By contrast, Mr. Trump actively conspired to hide his trove of secrets, according to the Department of Justice. He moved boxes around, misled his own lawyers, and flashed classified information in front of guests with no security clearance, according to the indictment. And Trump hid classified documents from the government and lied about it, says Peter Zeitenberg, a former federal prosecutor. So, kind of catch you up, Ryan. We're just kind of talking about the difference with the classified documents and how it differs between Trump, Biden, Clinton, Mike Pence, all of them. So the kind of difference with Clinton, Biden, and Pence is there was a lot of cooperation and being able to give back these documents, whereas they are seeing that Trump did not have as much, obviously, cooperation. He kind of misled his own lawyers. He moved boxes around, flashed classified information in front of guests with no security clearance, and things of that nature. So right now, that is the thing that's hurting Donald Trump when it comes to these classified documents. Now, whether or not, he actually gets indicted or, again, gets found guilty of any of this is a completely different story. But yeah, that's kind of the reason behind why Trump is in deeper water than anybody else with the classified documents part. He got caught on recordings talking to the two women I know we were discussing, clearly talking about trying to get rid of, some of the, or declassify some of these documents. There was video footage of people moving boxes around at Mar-a-Lago Estates. So that's kind of where Trump, I guess, is catching the fire right now. But again, whether or not this actually comes to a point where he gets charged and actually found guilty, we still have yet to see. But that's kind of where it is with the classified documents standpoint. So I don't know.
Which also is kind of a shaky court case, because the thing is like, what was it, 105 counts of documents or something like that?
Good question. I cannot remember.
So 105 counts. You know the pictures we all saw of all those boxes and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Remember that? Like how there was all those boxes on the stage. There was all those boxes in that basement or that room. Just all those boxes, right?
Yeah.
Well, 105 documents fits in one of those boxes pretty easily.
37 counts, by the way.
37. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
37. Like if it's 37 documents that they're trying to retrieve, they all fit in one of those boxes pretty easily. So what was he moving around? Was he like taking one of those boxes in Kansas City, shuffling it through all the other boxes? Like what is this actually? What are we actually talking about here?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's so. Again, I guess it depends on whether it's like a jury trial or not. But going back to like, I hate saying this, but going back to like the cases that I've been watching here recently, right? And I've just been learning a lot about our court system. You know, even without like a specific video of him moving those specific documents, the fact that things were done, it really, like, jury trials are some of the scariest things in the world because they don't have to have exact evidence on you. It's just up to the jury. And if they feel like there's enough there, they can still put you away. Whereas it almost seems like in today's day and age with the juries and the trials going on,
you're basically being a salesman at that point.
You're guilty until proven innocent. That's
especially
almost how
case.
it is.
Especially in this case.
So I mean,
either you're the half that, like for Trump, thinks he's completely innocent of all crimes,
right?
Or you're the other half that's like, he breathed the wrong way.
it's
illegal.
Depending on how this court or how this court case presides, whether again it's something from a jury or however they do it. I don't exactly know the results and what they're going to be, but this is just kind of going in depth as to why it differs from the other classified document cases that we've heard about other people.
So it said he had more than 300 documents.
Right.
And the 15 boxes were turned over to the National Archives earlier this year. And then we all know the story that he held on to some.
Right.
So my question is why is he playing this game? Like, why didn't he just turn them all in if he had them all?
Why not just get rid of them? Why? Yeah, wipe your hands clean, kind of thing.
Yeah, that is a good question, Stu, because it kind of just seems stupid.
Yeah, like why
would you hold on to some of this?
Yeah,
unless he felt like he just
declassified beforehand,
and he's like, no, I declassified these. Why are you coming after
but
these?
That video recording says otherwise.
Yeah,
he knew he had
kind of screws him there.
He had classified documents.
Now,
yeah, so
I guess
it's like, what are you doing here? What's the game he's trying to play?
I guess the other point is, again, it was at his Mar-a-Lago estates. Now, we all know that Trump is very embedded in with the Saudi money. Maybe, but that's all just hearsay. Nobody actually knows. Nobody's going to truly know why he does what he does except for Donald Trump himself.
And sometimes you might not even know that he's doing it.
Yeah, honestly. So, yeah, it's interesting thoughts there. And we'll see how it plays out. But
he plays everything pretty close to the chest.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I've learned anything about the guy, he's usually 1 to 2 steps ahead in the chess game.
We'll see what he does.
So
I'm interested in seeing how
whether
all
you
these
like
turn
him,
out.
love him, or hate him. Yeah, he does seem to be a step ahead on the chess game.
Yeah.
So see how it goes.
Like I was just saying when you were tending up there. The thing that sucks about all this is we talk about it week after week, and there's hearsay, there's this, there's that. They just continue to get dragged out. I want to know the results. Give me the facts. Give me exactly what happened and what
I'm
That's
really
what I want.
upset about all this because you have a bombshell drop last week. Like aliens, they're here. They're here. The government is saying that they are real.
I'd rather know about Epstein's list personally.
And yet here we are talking about Donald Trump and moving some boxes around.
Isn't it crazy though that God.
of some documents that are classified that may or may not have any bearing on anything that's going on in the world today.
This is the crazy part for me is like humans and this kind of God, way off topic.
Maybe here we go. Let's put some 10 hats on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you
No,
there,
go
but
ahead.
maybe one of those documents is the Epstein list.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe that's why they want it back so bad.
Maybe.
And maybe that's why Trump doesn't want to give it up.
Who knows,
Who
right?
knows? If you're a QAnon believer.
I guess for me, and this is just like a pure psychological or psychology take, and then we'll bring it right back on track. But like, we as human beings are so small-minded to like, to the point where we should be talking about like, hey, well, let's talk about extraterrestrial life and universal travel and how we can expand the human species. And yet we're so small-minded that we're over here arguing about
Russia.
Yeah, I mean, like wars and wanting to hurt each other and not wanting to work together as the human race. But that's just my thought. So anyways, fun times there. But we'll keep you up to date with the whole obviously classified documents cases.
Oh, by the way, this just came in. According to my thing right here, Epstein didn't kill himself.
well, now that's news to me. No.
Dude, let's put the hat on.
Alrighty, let's see
All right,
here.
I gotta quit. I'm going off the.
I
Actually,
love it though.
No longer am I talking about a conspiracy theory when I talk about the
You're
aliens.
not
though.
now.
I'm not.
It
I am
has been
talking about
confirmed.
factual information that came out last week in a hearing. Nothing but the facts, baby.
I love
aliens
are real. Trump charged with trying to delete Mar-a-Lago surveillance footage in new indictment.
God.
Oh my
How
gosh.
many more stuff about Trump and Mar-a-Lago surveillance footage?
And we've only been gone for 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Shiminy crickets.
They are just coming out with everything on this,
That's
man.
what I'm saying. This is really starting to feel like political persecution. This feels like a witch hunt.
Well, let's see what happens.
I mean, whether it is or it isn't, like just reading all of these different things that are happening
at once.
Like either he is the worst criminal in the world today, or this is a bunch of bullcrap, man.
Well, so
or malarkey, I think is the word I want to use.
The
for
Justice Department is accusing former President Trump of attempting
What are
to
they
delete
not accusing him
surveillance
of?
footage at his Mar-a-Lago property in a new superseding indictment filed in the classified records case Thursday. DOJ says Trump acted with a new co-conspirator to try to delete the footage and also charged him with an additional Espionage Act charge. The superseding indictment brings the total number of counts facing the former president to 40 and adds a charge based on the military documents Trump boasted of having in a meeting, warning he couldn't share them since he failed to declassify them. And it accuses Trump of acting with Carlos de Oliveira, the property manager of the hotel, and Trump's other co-defendant, Walt Nauta, with trying to delete the footage. The indictment notes efforts from De Oliveira, 56, to determine how long security footage was stored on the Mar-a-Lago system. It says he later told another Mar-a-Lago employee that the boss wanted the server deleted. The indictment also described De Oliveira and Nauta organizing their plan secretly, apparently walking among the bushes around the IT office where the security footage was managed. At another point, De Oliveira and Nauta
walking in the bushes trying to delete the footage.
walked with a flashlight through the tunnel where the storage room was located and observed and pointed out security cameras. The indictment accuses De Oliveira of lying to investigators about his involvement in moving boxes at the property, saying he never saw anything relating to boxes moving in and out of the storage room. That's right, this is the guy who was moving boxes, Oliveira. The indictment also adds a 30-second document to the tally for which Trump is facing charges for violating the Espionage Act top secret document on a presentation about military activity in a foreign country. The document in question is alleged to be one Trump referenced in a meeting at his home in Bedminster, New Jersey, admitting during the exchange he had not declassified the material, a contrast with a claim he's since made in public and describing it as highly confidential. While the episode was referenced in the initial indictment of Trump, the document itself was not among the initial charges.
Seriously?
The superseding indictment ties up two. I'm gonna finish this up real quick. Ties up two loose ends in the case, with reports indicating that the special counsel had taken additional investigative steps related to apparent gaps in security footage. It was also unclear whether authorities had recovered the document Trump bragged about having relating to the U.S. military operations in Iran, a document that will now be among the evidence presented in the case. The indictment also accuses De Oliveira of lying to investigators about his involvement in moving boxes of the property, saying he never saw anything. Yes, we get that part. And Trump is currently scheduled to go on trial May of next year, roughly 5 months after the initial December date suggested by the DOJ. Accompanying the new filing was a notice breaking down the changes in the new indictment with a line argument superseding indictment should not disturb a court scheduling order or the May 20th, 2024 trial date. All right. Oh my gosh, so much about him.
But see, why all the funny business? I can understand like the view of political prosecution, like they're going after him,
right?
But he gives them so much ammo to do that.
Yeah, like I guess when you're digging into like the surveillance footage, if there is a gap in the time, why? Like, why is this happening? Now, granted, again, this will probably be another. There is no actual evidence, I mean, they'll come up with some sort of excuse, Oliveira and them. Oh, it just got erased, blah blah blah. There was a virus in the file, blah blah. Something out there. But like you said, I mean, he is giving them ammo because there's just so much. But it feels like they're just hitting him with literally everything in the book. I mean, anything they can find right now.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to point out an inconsistency because when the classified document stuff with Hillary came out, all the Republicans were saying, put her in jail. Hillary for prison.
True.
And so now when they view this, they don't think Trump should go to prison for this.
I mean, yeah, it's the left getting the right and the right getting the left. That's how it is. They're attacking each other, and it's just going to continue being that way.
It's either we throw all these people in jail.
I'm for that.
That do these things, or what?
Yeah, no, I'm for that. Honestly, I would like to just prosecute them all. Get them all out of there. I mean, they continue to just show us over and over again how untrustworthy they are. Like, if you have nothing to hide, if you're going to be completely transparent, why hold on to documents? Why is there a gap in this footage?
Yeah,
why are so many people coming out against you? Why would any of them have these documents in the first place?
Well, all this funny business with Trump and the Mar-a-Lago, moving boxes and deleting footage, the conversations, like, why the funny business? Why are you giving these people ammo to do this kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a tough take. Any idea on this one, Ryan? It's just wild. I mean, it's a lot to keep up with too.
Well, that's the thing is it really feels like they're just throwing so much that it's just trying to, like, it's really just trying to just overwhelm you and get you to. Just all that's on the news cycle is Trump indictment, Trump indictment, Trump indictment. Because it really does feel like they're trying to throw so much at the guy that essentially he's just guilty in the public's mind.
Yep.
And then what courthouse is he going to be able to find a jury of his peers that don't know about Donald Trump?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and I will say the corporate media at the end of the day will definitely protect the establishment.
100%.
Absolutely.
So Trump's screwed because, again, he doesn't play ball with the establishment, which I'll give him that. But
But me to his supporters, just because Trump is not a part of the political establishment does not mean he is not corrupt.
Correct. And that is a perfect way of putting it, Stu.
The hard part about it is, though, Stu, is it doesn't matter who you put up there to run for president.
Feels like they're all corrupt.
They're all corrupt.
That's
if they're
the
in
bad
politics,
part.
then they are corrupt.
Especially when they're making the kind of money they are. What was it?
Who do you believe that's in politics right now that's not corrupt?
My uncle talked about somebody, Tim Scott. I need to look into him. I heard he was pretty good. Republican out of, where did he say? Damn it, I can't remember. But I've heard he's pretty good. I don't know though. That's what I'm saying. Who the hell's Tim Scott?
Josh Hawley. He's the one who's bringing forth the bill to ban congressmen and women from having stocks.
Oh yeah, I was about to bring that up.
He seems like he's pretty straight shooter.
That video that we ended up posting up earlier on our page. They are
Josh Hawley out of Missouri, I believe.
He's talking about, and he's Republican, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. He's talking about,
that's
all
a bipartisan
these
bill, though.
people.
He worked with the Democrat to get that bill pushed.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So now you find these individuals. We're going to have to start learning these new names and these new people that are pushing for things like that, because he's over here calling everybody out like all of you are making money and none of you want to stop any other congressional members to not participate in the stock market, or, even then your significant others, your brother, sister, children, whatever, right?
It's terrible when you actually have like trackers. Like if you go on to YouTube right now and you type in Paul Pelosi stock trades, right? It literally populates with this entire list of these people who have made millions of dollars copycatting Paul Pelosi's trades.
Oh yeah.
And the same thing with Mitch McConnell, even though that guy, I think should be removed. You don't freeze.
I mean,
after
that, well,
that was very clearly an episode of something.
Don't worry, that's coming up on the last topic.
But there's all kinds of. I mean, anyway, getting back to the point. So, who in the political system is not corrupt?
It's
a very, very small list.
Maybe a handful, and
maybe
even
like
then
4 or 5.
Yeah, it's hard to find. So it's tough.
And the 4 or 5 who are perceivably not corrupted are labeled crazy.
Yeah.
Like they're the new ones, right? That are in there and they're going hot after whatever topic they can get their hands on.
Yep.
The Bobarts, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Freedom Caucus guys that, what's his name? Chip Taylor out of Texas. They're all new. And they have a very, very hard anti-establishment stance, and they've all been labeled crazy.
It's what happens.
So, are we supposed to overlook all the corruption?
Oh, Lord.
No, I mean, we can't overlook it. But how do we fix it if the entire system is corrupt? I mean, what do you do?
Tear it down.
Wouldn't that be great? But at the same time, you tear it down, and then what happens to the world?
Yeah, that's where it gets tough. You got to start fixing it from the inside is what we got to start doing.
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
It's impenetrable from the inside. So what do you do?
This is a tough conversation. This is so deep.
This is the conversation we should be having.
This is the conversation we should be having.
The latest indictment on Trump, but like, how do we fix the system? How do we fix the corruption that has bled into our lawmaking bodies?
Yeah.
How do we fix the corruption that's in the executive office, in the judiciary office, in the legislative office?
Yeah.
Like, how do we fix it?
And that's such a hard conversation.
To start somewhere.
But
and where do we start?
It's these kind of conversations, like you said, that we need to be having. And like, yes, the thing is with these indictments and all the fraud, these should be kind of clear cut. Like, okay, obviously we can't trust anybody. Let's just get them out of there. But then how do we replace them? How do we put people in these jobs and in these positions, right?
Exactly.
I mean, if Trump can come off the streets never having any kind of political experience, it clearly shows to me
he does have political experience, though, because he's the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
So what that shows me is that people can come from private industries and be able to run the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we have to
they're
find
probably more corrupt than the people that are in there.
What we got to find is entrepreneurs at maybe a smaller level who would be willing to get into those roles, or even then your everyday citizen who would be able to go in there and ask the right questions and find out what's right, what's wrong. So why are we doing it this way, not this way? Different perspectives. Like, slowly help the system. See, I've had this discussion with Manny,
slowly.
and it's
it needs to happen quicker than slowly.
It does, but God, how else do you do? I don't know. Realistically, this all should have started like 30 years ago.
Well, yeah.
Ever
the thing
since,
is 30 years ago, people had no idea because the internet was not a thing.
True. You forget how new the internet is sometimes.
Yeah. So you got to think we're in the information age right now. So that's why it seems so terrible.
Information or disinformation?
No, it's in the information age, because even disinformation is still information.
It is.
So it's up to you to disseminate and do your research. But the thing is the amount of information that's out there about this stuff is what makes it all seem so terrible. Like, you're getting a constant news feed, 24-hour news cycle about this person doing this person doing that, this person said this, that person said that, this is blah, 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 blah. And that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it is.
And the thing is back in the 90s, 80s, 70s, whatever, you had C-SPAN and nobody turned to that channel.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there was a big bill that came out and people went and celebrated. But other than that, nothing.
And even nowadays,
they can operate in the shadows, and now they can't. And that's why you're seeing so much malarkey from both sides.
And even nowadays, look at how hard it is to find time to do that when everybody has families, bills, jobs, trying to start side hustles just to keep up above everything. And yeah.
That's always been.
Well,
that's why they were able to operate in the shadows.
You did at least have one person who was able to operate the household and maybe keep up with things like that, whereas now you have to almost have a 2-person income to survive out here. You have to.
Almost.
It's very, very rarely do you see individuals living by themselves and being able to actually stay above their bills and not be in debt.
No, I disagree with that, because people are greedy, and that's the problem. If you live within your means, like if you make $50,000 and you budget out $20,000, well, then you're in a $30,000 a year surplus. So, like, I'm sorry, I disagree with that, because if you make $50,000, then you can't afford the Beverly Hills. You can't afford the big house on the hill. You can't afford those things. Go and get yourself a townhouse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or go and get yourself an apartment. If you're making $50,000 a year, well, guess what? You can't have that Corvette. You shouldn't be out here putting it on a lease.
Or what it is again, it kind of goes back to like,
yes,
education.
Inflation is bad right now. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, right.
But
you can balance.
You can absolutely, if you need to be able to balance your checkbook, and people don't do that. And that's why people are so distracted, because no one's teaching them that. Going back to the education piece that you were just talking about. So nobody's teaching them that, so they can be distracted all the time, because they're like, the world's falling down around me because I don't have any money, and because I don't have any money, I have to work all the time, and because I have to work all the time, I can't pay attention to anything.
Yep. And then it comes down to materialistic values people have. Is like people feel like they need the newest best thing, blah blah blah.
What is the internet? If you get on YouTube, every other commercial is a vacation here, this brand new car, Jake Paul and his newest boxing thing, and he just made all this money, blah blah blah.
Energy drinks, beer, you name
alcohol,
it's never ending.
Porn, like, it's never ending.
A lot of people would call it, or as Dre, when we had him on here, desperation. Desperation is used as a weapon. It's a manipulative tactic. But this is getting into like human psychology and how crazy it goes.
That's the thing, though. Honestly, it's like you almost have to unplug from the phone and the internet to be able to see what's going on. But you can't see what's going on unless you're plugged into the internet.
It's so tough.
It's terrible.
So Dean comes in, he says you have to start small, but it has to be widespread and all at once, if that makes sense, which it does. Start with doing research on your state legislators and representatives in Congress. And not only that, but it's really going to start taking people to listen to information that is going to help them. And I feel like we're going in a good trend. A lot of people listen to Rogan. Crystal and Sagar, a lot of independent news medias. You got like Tim Pool. You got all these people out there. What's Crystal's husband's name? Kyle Kalinske. You got a lot of different information out there and a lot of different views. People are finally starting to migrate towards that compared to cable news programs, which cable is taking like an all-time. So it's starting to trend towards that, Dean. I do agree, but it has to, like you said, it has to hit all at once across all 50 states, or else it's not going to work. And unfortunately, I don't know if we're too far gone or if we can recover. And it all starts with listening to independent news medias like us. Here, the fact is,
well, people have to stop buying into like the partisan arguments.
Correct.
All the arguments out there that are just to distract the people.
Yeah, and as Dean
I completely
says,
agree with that, because the thing is like, if you get out and like Dean's comment, if you just get out and you talk to other people, you're not that much different. I promise you. Yeah, I work with people every single day, and we are not that much different
at all.
Like, and I work with people from all different walks of life.
Oh yeah,
and I've seen the richest of the rich, and I've seen the poorest of the poor, and everything in between. And I promise you, we don't think that much differently.
We really don't, because like you said, I'm in the same exact boat. I mean, different cultures, ethnicities, different social statuses, different, money situations, doesn't matter. We all truly want like the same thing. It's just a matter of getting there. And as Dean said, become as self-reliant as you can. Don't depend on the government for anything. Get off the internet some and talk to your neighbors and community members. Spend time with your family.
You know what we
That's so
should do?
key.
You know what we should do?
What should we do?
We should go out, right? And just buy like 100 or 200 acres.
God, I would love that.
And then get a couple of families together and just commune the hell out of it.
I've been
like, one family does all the gardening, one family does all the hunting, one family does, the fixing up.
I've been wanting to do that for so long,
dude. And then we have this big ass like pond in the middle, and we all go swimming every once.
Think about how robotic people think. If you're in a Republican family and say a Democrat's in office, they're blaming all their issues on that Democratic president, and then vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on the right, you're saying, well, it's the left that's the issue. And then if you're on the left, you're saying, oh, it's the right that's the issue. I mean, it's so robotic, and I promise you, it's way more complex than that.
It really is. And
the right are a bunch of redneck hillbillies, and the left are a bunch of liberal whatevers.
Yeah, snowflakes, as they call them.
Dude,
it doesn't stop.
That's almost where we get to when
it's like this.
People just vote R&D every year. Like, I know there's only two choices, but it has to start there too with the political system.
It does. And so, with that kind of coming full circle comes back to the, what we're talking about with just all this little stuff with like the Trumps, Bidens, the Clintons, the whoever, ultimately it's all small potatoes. The bigger scheme is we need to understand that accountability just needs to be held, and there should be no question to it. That's the problem.
I mean, justice should be justice.
Exactly. Simple as that.
It shouldn't take 5 years to come to a conclusion of something.
Exactly.
It should take a month. You should have a court case, you have some prep time, and then present your case.
Boom.
Yeah, it's interesting they wait.
Why does it take 5 years?
Until a year before the election to go through with this January 6th stuff.
Exactly, dude.
I mean,
none of it makes sense.
The investigation, that's what they're going to claim. And they're going to say, well, we had to investigate. We had to figure out what was going on.
Well, obviously you're taking way too long. Like, way too long to get this evidence.
Yeah, if it's really that important to you, you should have hired a bigger crew, watched the videotapes faster, and then found what you needed to find. Because, like, this statute of limitations, like, being, like, 7 years, I think that's bullcrap. It should be, like, a year.
Yeah, at most.
Like, if you can't prove your case within a year or two,
then charges
what
drop.
Do you have?
Yeah, charges drop. Move forward.
Like, at that point, you're grasping for straws, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it's way too out of.
Unless it's like a murder case and you're trying to piece together the DNA or whatever, and it may take some time to get back. But like in a political case, like, oh, the guy moved a box. Well, where'd he move it from? One room to the other? Like, oh my God. It took Sherlock Holmes to figure that out.
So,
dude, it's just exhausting. It really is.
We will keep up to date again with all the Trump stuff, but let's switch over here. No, I get it. Trust me.
Like, our first 4 topics were about Trump's indictments. I'm like, God bless America.
Now we get to talk about Mr. Hunter Biden. Did Hunter Biden get a sweetheart deal? How do these cases play out with other defendants? So Republican lawmakers have slammed Hunter Biden's plea agreement regarding tax evasion and firearm offense charges as a sweetheart deal, raising questions as to whether Biden was treated equally under the law compared to other defendants. So last month, Biden agreed to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of failing to pay federal income tax after 5-year investigation. He also agreed to enter a pretrial diversion program that could dismiss felony charge regarding his unlawful possession of a Colt Cobra 38 SPL revolver, despite being a drug user. He will appear in court Wednesday in Wilmington, Delaware. So a lot of people are saying these charges are way too lenient, or the plea deal is way too lenient. So let's look on his unlawful possession of a firearm. So Biden was charged with 18 U.S. Code Section 922G3, which makes it unlawful for a user or someone addicted to any controlled substance to possess a gun. Well, that would be like all of America, addicted to alcohol or something.
Drink alcohol because
Exactly.
you can't have a gun if you're addicted to.
If you're addicted to it,
I guess it's not no, it is a controlled substance because it's sold.
Oh yeah. So interesting. Legal experts, USA
Good
Today.
luck going into West Virginia with that one.
Yeah, right. Agreed to the pretrial diversion program was justified. While the maximum sentence under the statute is 10 years in prison, prosecutors have wide discretion to defer prosecution or seek diversion programs, and often do so in cases like Biden's, where the offender has no criminal record, the charges are minor, and the case does not involve aggravating circumstances like use of the firearm in a criminal act. So I can say that typically, if you are a non-aggressor, if you are not like aggressive, you don't have any kind of charges, of course, where you're trying to harm other people, things like that, they typically will give you, second chances, especially with no history. So I'll give them that. I think the feds would not have been bothered with the kind of case if the subject wasn't the president's son. They're probably right about that also. But let's go back. Let's talk about, or not necessarily go back. Let's talk about Biden's failure to pay taxes. So this one's interesting because I don't care who you are. If you're avoiding taxes on purpose, you definitely should be held to the highest legal prosecution, in my opinion.
It depends. I mean, that's going to be a hot take because no, it depends. If the loopholes are in place for you to be able to avoid those taxes, then avoid them.
If you're doing it the right way.
Yeah. If you're following the U.S. tax code, then do it.
So
Biden, if it's in the code,
right,
do it.
So Biden allegedly received more than $1.5 million in taxable income in 2017 and owed the federal government in excess of $100,000 by April of 2018, according to the court filing. He received another excess $1.5 million in taxable income in 2018 and again failed to pay his taxes. So that's twice in a row he failed to pay his taxes. Legal experts have mixed views on whether the two misdemeanor counts. And see, that's the thing. It's only misdemeanor. That's ridiculous to me. Constituted as a sweetheart deal. Maggie Abdo Gomez, a Miami tax attorney and former IRS lawyer, argued the misdemeanor counts were proper under the law and the prosecution for failure to pay taxes is not very common. As an attorney who spent her entire career, nearly 40 years working as an attorney for the IRS and then defending taxpayers before the IRS, I can tell you that I have numerous clients who owe the IRS substantial sums of taxes and are not prosecuted, which is wild. Shaolin Wu, a former federal prosecutor, went a step further and argued that Biden was treated more harshly than most tax offenders for two reasons. The amount of tax evasion was relatively modest, and Biden has paid back the amount last year. Wu said that it would be unusual for the government to pursue criminal charges unless there's something else going on that's part of a bigger plot. So just kind of leave it at that. So that's interesting. I don't like the tax evasion thing at all. Like, I understand there's loopholes. I understand there's ways to, write off taxes, do specific things to be able to help lower your taxable income, things like that. I get that. But when you're making $1.5 million and you're not paying your taxes 2 years in a row and you're just noticeably, doing it on purpose.
But here's the thing, Nave. In the grand scheme of things, he's like a small fish. 1.5 million is nothing.
I mean, compared to anybody else, yeah.
If and this is where I'm going to defend Hunter a little bit. If he paid him back the couple of years later, then who cares?
I mean, yeah, fair enough, right? As long as he paid him back.
And the other thing is what about all these major multi-billion-dollar corporations
that don't pay
any taxes because they take their business outside of America, or they do whatever they can to negate the taxes because of the loopholes that were put in place by the corrupt Congress people that they pay.
It's a never-ending circle.
Oh, dude, and we want to sit here and we want to talk about Hunter Biden and not
Donald
paying
Trump,
the taxes, and Trump. There's such bigger fish to fry, and we're sitting here and we're as a country, we're just focusing on the two things that, yes, they're important, but at the same time, are they?
Yeah.
Are they?
Are they really that important?
Because why aren't we figuring out who's putting these tax codes in place so that these multi-billion-dollar corporations can evade taxes?
Let's go back to the root cause. Let's go back to who.
Why don't we figure out who in Congress is putting, these rules in place that allow people like Epstein to thrive?
And I'm not even worried about who necessarily did it, because let's be real. I mean, this happened, hundreds of years ago, right?
Maybe not even.
Maybe 50 even. Let's just go back 50.
Fixed?
Yeah, why can't we just fix
loopholes?
it now? Let's stop allowing it to happen and cut off, cut off the circulation, right? Like, just
what they say.
I don't know.
Tourniquet Congress.
I like that.
Stop the blood flow.
It's also too probably the lobbyists lobby for these.
Oh,
100%.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. That's where that's in my example, these major corporations that don't pay taxes that then pay the politicians to make the rules so that they don't have to pay the taxes. And that is one thing I will say is, like, Trump did say that at the beginning in the debate with Hillary.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Trump didn't pay his taxes in 2014. He's like, you're right, because you and your friends wrote the code so that I didn't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
And your donors, they don't either.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Well, crap.
Well, what do you say to that? I thought I had them. But the thing is like, man, come on. We as a country need to get away. Like, stop thinking about the shiny object that they're putting in front of you. The shiny object is what keeps you in the state of perpetual crisis. That is what it's designed to do. Dig deeper, look at the root cause. What is the root cause of what's going on right now?
Yeah, because these are all just symptoms of the root cause. That's
Exactly.
all it is.
It's like if you have cancer, right? Are you going to treat the symptoms of cancer, or are you going to go and try to cut the knot out?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to help, alleviate those symptoms.
Yeah,
but
I'm not throwing up anymore, but I got this thing growing in my liver that's going to kill me.
It's still coming, yeah. so let's figure that out.
What are you going to do? You're going to go cut the tumor out, or are you going to sit there and continue to just treat your nausea? Because that's kind of what we're doing in politics right now.
So I'm on your side with that one. Yeah, let's
go cut out the tumor.
Let's go cut out the tumor.
I mean that in the most non-violent way possible.
Yeah, and obviously,
like, through the legal system, playing by the rules, doing it the correct way, putting the policies in place that are going to give power back to the people.
Yeah,
I agree
with you.
Not the elected officials, the quote-unquote elected officials that we put there to represent us.
Yeah. Well, people just need to wake up a little bit, and we'll get there. I believe we have to.
Stay woke.
So apparently there's no plea deal anymore.
No.
Because Hunter Biden thought he was going to get off on the business dealings.
Yeah, basically, what was it? It was like if he had been I think they were trying to invoke like a double jeopardy type situation. If he had been tried on one and already had pleaded guilty to this and it was in the plea bargain, then they would agree to not persecute him for future tax related, money related things. And the judge saw it and was like, yeah, what about that? And the prosecutors are like, not to look like complete idiots in the front of the entire courthouse. We're like, well, I mean, yeah, I guess we could still prosecute. And then Hunter's team like lost it.
Would you say, like, I agree with a lot of what you said earlier, but would you say that this can also start with holding these people accountable? So if they do go to jail, these things are being talked about. That's like the first step.
I guess, yeah, I mean, you could start anywhere, right?
Accountability would be a great start point.
Yeah, for any of these individuals that are, getting charged. So yeah, I think it'd be a good starting point anywhere. I mean, I'm glad that they're
term
actually
limits on all positions.
Yeah,
all
God,
public
please.
positions should have term limits. I thought about it and I've been thinking about it, and it's been something that has been like, I used to think that maybe only the major power play positions should have term limits.
Ooh.
No. If it's a judge, if you're appointed a judge at the local courthouse, you should have term limits. If you are appointed as a senator in the local race, you should, like, in your local state, you should have term limits. If you are a delegate in the House of Burgesses and in Virginia, I don't care, term limits. If you're a fire chief, term limits. If you're a police chief, term limits.
All of them.
All of them.
Ryan,
Mayor,
I agree
term limits.
100% with you.
Yeah, yeah.
There should not be any life appointed positions, because that's how you get to where we're at now.
Yes. And allowing allowing it to take its term limit cycles, of course, and allowing new people to come in and having different ideas and innovation and just not the same crap 24/7 is
Dude.
the beauty of America.
And you know what? You're going to get some ups and you're going to get some downs, but man, guess what? Everything is a lesson. So when you get those down people, you're like, let's not vote somebody like that back in.
Dean, I love that. The fact this podcast, let's cut out the tumor. I can see the shirts now.
Cut out the dude.
Cut out the
Old
tumors.
Faithful, I like it. You should have a picture of a scalpel on the back.
Yeah.
Cut out the tumor.
Going through a donkey and an elephant. Yeah, that's
It's
even
like,
look at
have
that.
the donkey, the elephant.
That's a good
Ooh, I like
idea.
that. The donkey, the elephant, and the scalpel coming down
going
over
right
top
through
of them.
I like it.
Maybe a guillotine. Maybe that's
Oh
a little
goodness!
too dark.
All right, let's talk about Hunter Biden sold the illusion of access to his father, former business partner, tells Congress. So, Hunter Biden, former business partner, insisted in testimony to Congress that President Joe Biden was never directly involved in their financial dealings through Hunter. Though Hunter would often put his famous father on speakerphone to impress clients and business associates, the Republican-led House Oversight Committee conducted a more than 5-hour interview with Devin Archer as part of its expanding congressional inquiry into the Biden family businesses as the GOP explores a potential impeachment inquiry into the president. Both Republican and Democratic lawmakers inside the closed-door interviews said Archer testified that over the span of 10 years, Hunter Biden put his father on the phone around 20 times while in the company of associates, but never once spoke about any business dealings. New York Rep. Dan Goldman, who was representing Democrats inside the room, told reporters after the interview that Archer testified that Hunter sold the illusion of access to his father by taking credit for things that his father did as vice president that he had no part in.
Could you imagine? Like you're sitting in a thing and Hunter's like, "Hey, I got Joe on the phone right now.
Yeah.
Like, let's get him in here." And Joe hops on the phone. He's like, "Hey,
Not knowing anything.
What are you doing?"
Yeah.
He's like, "When are we going to get some ice cream?" chocolate chip.
Biggs, reading from his notes, said Archer testified that the Ukrainian gas company Burisma would have gone out of business sooner if the Biden brand had not been invoked. People would be intimidated to legally mess with Burisma because of the Biden family brand. So obviously we are aware that all sides are claiming victory following Mr. Archer's involuntary interview today. Archer's attorney, Matt Schwartz, said in a statement, but all Devin Archer did was exactly what he said he would: show up and answer the questions put to him honestly and completely. The White House saw the testimony as a falling short of House Republicans' promise to deliver bombshell evidence. But I mean, when you're putting, like, again, when you say Biden family brand, that's kind of,
What are you getting paid for all these millions of dollars to do?
Yeah. Put your name on something, basically.
Put your name on something.
Yeah.
And like you're getting peddled millions of dollars through all these. If you're not doing anything wrong, then why all the shell companies?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with Trump. If you're not doing anything wrong, why are you deleting footage?
Yeah. Right? Like,
you know what I mean?
Just stay transparent with it.
Yeah.
Republicans have focused much attention on an unverified tip to the FBI that alleged a bribery scheme involving Joe Biden when he was vice president, to claim which first emerged in 2019 was that Biden pressured Ukraine to fire its top prosecutor in order to stop an investigation into Burisma, the oil and gas company where Hunter Biden was on the board. Democrats on the committee, including Maryland Rep. Jamie Raskin, the ranking minority member, have reiterated that the Justice Department investigated the Burisma claim when Donald Trump was president and closed the matter after 8 months, finding insufficient evidence that it was true. Democrats have also highlighted the transcript of an interview with Mykola Zalowski, Burisma's co-founder, in which he denied having any contact with Joe Biden while Hunter Biden worked for the company. Mr. Zalowski's statement are just one of the many that have debunked the corruption allegations. On top of his relationship with Hunter Biden, who is currently facing federal tax charges, Archer has his own legal troubles stemming from a 2018 felony conviction of his role in a conspiracy to defraud a Native American tribe. The conviction, these guys are just all frauds, man. The conviction was overturned later that year, but the Court of Appeals in New York reinstated it in 2020. His sentencing in the case has been repeatedly delayed by appeals. So, Republicans led by Comer criticized that delay, calling it an effort of the Justice Department to intimidate a witness, but the Justice Department, in a follow-up memo to the court, noted Archer's surrender was not imminent and asked the judge to ensure that he testified to Congress before reporting to prison. So he got a 1-year sentence. Oh my goodness, man! It just doesn't stop. Like, again, the corruption is so deep. It's literally every single person involved with anybody.
Hey, we're gonna have this guy come to the courthouse who's getting ready to go to prison. He's gonna tell the truth, though. I promise.
I love how the corporate media protected Biden at first, and the narrative was that he was never in on these business calls.
I know. Now it's like
and now he was in there, but he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. He asked about the ice cream.
Oh my! This is so.
I really think that our government thinks we are dumb.
Oh no, they know we're dumb.
They know we're dumb. Yeah, they know we're stupid. They know our population has drastically decreased in intelligence ever since technology has created.
Well, I'll tell y'all right now, Mama didn't raise no fool.
ever since technology has created convenience, people have become more. I almost said more stupider. Have become a lot less intelligent.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, when the thing is like they stopped letting you focus on common sense stuff. They started pushing more and more of this bull crap. So, yeah, I think the government absolutely knows that we are sheeple.
Yeah. So
that's sad.
The hard facts right now is Hunter Biden is definitely corrupt and definitely uses the Biden name to make money.
Yes.
So we have to tie Joe Biden to that somehow, which in my opinion, he probably is tied into it. So we just have to prove that.
He probably just doesn't know he was even tied into it, though. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. This guy just needs to go live out his days in a retirement home.
I don't think so. Back when he was vice president, he definitely had his wits about him. You've heard the conversations back then. I mean, he's always had these little, like, trip-ups. Yeah. But back when he was vice president...
That's what it will be. They'll claim insanity then.
Yep. They're going to. They're going to say, well, he was his facility... Because they're going to... If it really comes down the pipe, then they impeach him, right? And they get him out of there based on mental capacity, not having the mental capacity to do the job anymore. And then the defense is, well, he didn't have his mental capacity the whole time.
Yeah, that's true.
We elected a guy who's got dementia, a president.
That's great.
And they'd rather go that route than actually prove that. That's me speculating.
No, I mean, you're not wrong, though.
But I mean, it sounds like it's being set up perfectly
for that. So we'll keep on top of it.
And then Gavin Newsom's running for president in 2024.
Oh, good.
So he can run us the rest of the way into the ground, like California.
Let's
one establishment goes away, they raise another
one steps up. So let's let's move on to our last two topics because we still got two more things.
We've been on for an hour and a half.
I know. We got a lot after 2 weeks. So judge limits Biden administration and working with social media companies. A judge on Tuesday prohibited several federal agencies and officials of the Biden administration from working with the social media companies about protected speech, a decision called a blow to censorship by one of the Republican officials whose lawsuit prompted the ruling. U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty of Louisiana granted the injunction in response to a 2022 lawsuit brought by attorneys general in Louisiana and Missouri. Their lawsuit alleged that the federal government overstepped in its efforts to convince social media companies to address postings that could result in vaccine hesitancy during the COVID-19 pandemic or affect elections. Doughty cited substantial evidence by far-reaching censorship campaign. He wrote that the evidence produced thus far depicts an almost dystopian scenario during the COVID-19 pandemic, a period perhaps best characterized by widespread doubt and uncertainty. The United States government seems to have assumed a role similar to an Orwellian ministry of truth. Republican U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt, who was the Missouri Attorney General when the lawsuit was filed, said on Twitter that the ruling was a huge win for the First Amendment and a blow to censorship. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry said the injunction prevents the administration from censoring the core political speech of ordinary Americans on social media. So The ruling listed several government agencies, including the Department of Health and Human Services and the FBI, that are prohibited by injunction from discussions with social media companies aimed at encouraging, pressuring, or inducing in any manner the removal, deletion, suppression, reduction, or content containing protected free speech. Where was this back before Twitter was bought out? Goodness. The order mentions by name several officials.
It wasn't because Twitter hadn't been bought out yet and the files hadn't been produced yet.
Yeah, but this is crazy. This should have been a long
You
time
would
ago.
think, right?
Including Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and others. Daughtry allowed several exceptions, such as informing social media companies of posting involving criminal activity and conspiracies, as well as notifying social media firms of national security threats and other threats posted on platforms. So the plaintiffs in the lawsuit also included individuals, including conservative website owner Jim Hoft. The lawsuit accused the administration of using the possibility of favorable or unfavorable regulatory action to coerce social media platforms to squelch what it considered misinformation on masks and vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic. It also touched on other topics, including claims about election integrity and news stories about material on a laptop owned by Hunter Biden. Administration lawyers said the government left it up to the social media companies to decide what constituted misinformation and how to combat it. In one brief, they likened the lawsuit to an attempt to put a legal gag order on the federal government and suppress the speech of federal government officials under the guise of protecting the speech rights of others. Plaintiffs' proposed injunction would significantly hinder the federal government's ability to combat foreign malign influence campaigns, prosecute crimes, protect the national security, and provide accurate information to the public on matters of grave public concern such as healthcare and election integrity. The administration says in May 3rd court filings. Interesting thoughts there as well, right? Because of like what social media does, being able to kind of confirm, any kind of national security issues, that would be interesting on how they handle that when it comes to social media, because or even misinformation campaigns from other countries, and how how they can infiltrate through social media and be able to trick the masses. So
yeah, I mean, well, it just comes down to this should have been instituted a long time ago. It should not be. The government shouldn't be allowed to limit free speech on any platform, really.
No, I agree with that. So
it's kind of the First Amendment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. So
kind of clean and cut.
Kind of clean and cut right there.
Government should not be allowed to limit free speech in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Stu, any thoughts on that?
What y'all said.
Beautiful.
Glad we're all in agreement. What's going on next?
Stay away from our rights.
Yeah. All right.
You guys up there on Capitol Hill, y'all better stay away from them first 10. I'm telling you what.
But shame on the social media companies for bowing down to them.
I mean,
who here now is bowing down?
I guess when it comes to the federal government,
Well, I understand.
I'll never bow down.
That's where like the check.
Telling you what.
The check and balance needs to be.
Needs to be put back in place.
With that. Yeah, but it's
stay here, Sonny.
It's a conversation that need to be had, and it's obviously a good thing being pushed. So I'm very happy with that. But
anti-censorship.
Yeah, anti-censorship, 100%. But let's
do not be on. Anytime there's been ever in history somebody trying to limit speech, they're never the good guys
on that side. Yeah, they're never the good guy on that side of history.
Never.
Stop censoring speech.
Stop censoring speech. And that's all I had to say about that.
Goodness gracious. Let's
never go forward.
Wow.
I had to say that one under my breath a little bit. I'm glad you caught that, Dave.
Let's talk about how old people are.
Oh no.
Within our Congress.
Oh no.
Oh yes, this is scary.
Wait, are we pulling up Mitch McConnell and his freeze job?
Do it. Roll the tape.
Wait, can we start calling Mitch McConnell Mr. Freeze?
That's horrible. Watch Senator Feinstein. Watch this one.
We will now vote to report the Defense Appropriations Bill favorably, subject to amendment. The clerk will call the roll. Senator Feinstein.
Say aye.
Pardon me?
Aye.
Yeah.
Just say
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
Yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just
Great,
aye.
Thank you.
No. Yeah, no, they literally just told her what to do. 91 years old, and they just said, hey, say aye. That's all you got to do. Just say aye. And she just did it. Next, we have Mr. Freeze.
We're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation.
And here it comes.
And a string of
like, I'm sorry to laugh at it. I'm not trying to laugh at it, but like, you can tell that something is very wrong with him. He is not doing well.
And they waited a solid, like,
Look at the guy in the background.
what,
He's like,
10,
wait,
15
what's
seconds?
going on here?
Yeah.
What's going on
They
here?
waited a while.
Is everything okay?
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch, you okay?
Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
Look at that guy putting the squeeze on a dude's elbow.
Could you address what happened here at the start of the press conference?
Yeah.
And was it related to your injury from earlier this year where you suffered a concussion? Is that
No, I'm fine.
you're fine, you're fully able to do your job?
Mr. Lear, can I just get your reaction to?
So
I'm fine. I'm fine.
like, and again, this, you shouldn't laugh, right? And it isn't a joking, but it's wild to me that we have.
We've got to.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, these individuals have to go and start enjoying their life while it's still around. And it's absolutely wild.
What's crazy to me is this is supposed to be the most stressful job on earth. Jobs on earth, right? And these guys are so old. Like, what is this? Is this? I think Billy Joel is right, man. I think only the good die young.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. Yeah, because I'm not kidding you, man. This was wild. You know, these individuals are literally have the mental decline, ridiculous mental decline, and there's no reason they should be in these very stressful jobs. They should be living with their families, enjoying their life.
The average age of the Senate is 63.9 years.
Yes. So this is where we're getting at. The 118th Congress is the third oldest since 1789. So Congress,
Since 1789. How is that even possible? I thought life expectancy was getting higher. How is the 1789 Congress older than what we've got now?
Wild. Congress did not get older this year.
Didn't they just come out of a war?
I don't know, man.
Or did they just like get done with the war and they're like, oh man, we got all these old heads that were sitting here that didn't fight. Let's put them in the lawmaking body.
They were establishing, the founding fathers were establishing the basis of our country before they passed. And then they were like, you know what? It's up to you guys. And then it's just gone very downhill since then.
I wouldn't say all that. I think
Not
Andrew
all
Jackson
of it.
did a great job in 1820.
Did you hear how long ago that was, though? 1820? We're in 2000.
Hey, Blinken did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
For
When
what
was
he
that?
had.
When was that again?
Teddy Roosevelt did a pretty good job.
When was that again?
It was like 1908.
And then I guess the latest you could go to was probably FDR before they assassinated him.
No. FDR did not do a good job. He's
Or,
the one.
JFK.
I
Sorry.
thought you were going to say Joe Biden. I was like, whoa.
JFK.
But no. FDR. Hold on. FDR is probably where most of the corruption in the Congress and everything comes from today, with the New Deal, with the Social Security, with all that crap. Like, think about this: a world without Social Security, right? It would literally force people to be responsible for their futures.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
you mean that you have to take care of you for you later? What are we gonna do, people?
So
give me back my income tax. That's what I'm talking about.
that's all I want.
Like, if Social Security wasn't a part of that, oh man.
So get this. The average age of the Senate right now is 63.9 years. In the House, it's 57.5. The House isn't as bad.
That's because they just brought in some new blood, though.
Yeah, the Senate is a little up there. So some of the oldest, right? The youngest representatives current in Congress is 25-year-old Maxwell Frost.
How old is he?
Democrat in Florida, 25.
Good for
Followed
him.
by 33-year-old Alexandria AOC. Yes, I'm just going to go with that. Out of New York, 33 years old. The oldest known reps are Grace Napolitano, Democrat in California.
Napolitano?
Sure. 86 years old. In the Senate is 89-year-old Feinstein, which we just saw her, Democrat in California. And the oldest is John Ossoff. Is the oldest. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And John Ossoff, Democrat in Georgia, is 35, is the youngest. So
wait, the median age in the United States is 38.8 years old?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That means that the millennial generation is the largest demographic in the entire United States now.
As of now, yes. I would say.
No, that's exactly what that means.
Are you millennial?
I'm a millennial.
How old are you?
35.
Are you a millennial? I'm a millennial.
You're not a millennial.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're like other generation.
Stop that. I am not. I'm a millennial.
I don't think so, Nave.
Aren't we still?
How old are you?
28.
No, I think you are like the next. I think you're Gen Zer.
No, don't. Oh my God, please don't tell me that.
I think so.
89 years old.
Look, change the subject.
Yeah,
I am not part of that generation, I promise.
That's
yes.
That's just
anybody born between 81 and 96. Booyah.
So you are just
millennial.
Slightly,
but I'm there. Thank God.
Oh my God.
Anyways, 89 years old. Yeah, let's talk about that, right? That is
that's hilarious,
again,
actually.
You look at Mitch McConnell, you look at Feinstein, and look at how they're just not able to perform their job, and they're literally being told what to do.
25 years old, though, in Florida.
That's good.
No, that's not.
I really
what
hope
were you
people
doing when you were 25, Nave? I know
True.
that's like only 3
True.
years ago, but
True. I'll give you that. No, that's fair enough.
I really hope the people in their districts think long and hard about voting for them again.
Yeah, no joke. And then I love Dean's comment here. He said, well, who's the woman in green? She touched him and he froze. Is she an alien?
I love where your head's at, Dean. I love it. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you're old faithful.
Aliens.
Aliens, bro. They are here. They are real. Beam me up, Scotty. Let's see what's out there.
I'd be cool. Sagar actually had a somewhat similar take. He said basically anybody over the age of 75 just should not be, in
I would
government.
agree with the 75 cutoff.
I would probably go 70.
Nah, I think 75 because there's still some really smart 75-year-olds out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hell, my uncle, great uncle, he's actually 98 years old and one of the smartest individuals you ever meet. He's still sound of mind.
That's less of what we need, though.
And no, right. But it's
Ryan
it's
here.
wild.
The fact is to tell you that we do not need a 98-year-old in Congress.
Here's what I'll say. I'd rather have like an 80-year-old in there that defends liberty versus like a 35-year-old that doesn't.
Right, but I don't know. That's, I mean, again, because
that 38-year-old still, or the whatever the younger example you used, still has time to come around
and develop. Yeah,
and develop. That 80-year-old, they could die at any minute. I mean, it's still good to the 30-year-old. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But the, I would say that, because what did I see? I saw a T-shirt the other day. It was kind of hilarious.
Get her done.
No, I see a lot of those in this area. So, it said if you're young and if you're young and I've never met.
Get it out, Biden.
Sorry, that was good though.
Ooh, I'm like Mitch McConnell right now. I'm froze. I'm just frozen in place. I'm an NPC right now.
This is horrible. I love it.
Oh my God, that completely took my mind off of it. But it just said if you're Never mind. Fuck it. I'm done. Oh, jeez. I just dropped the F-bomb.
He said, screw it. I quit.
I did not say screw
No,
it.
you did not.
And there goes my paycheck for the week.
There it goes. Out the window.
Yo, that's...
So the FCC can't let me be because me, so let me see.
Oh, that
Trying to
is,
shut me down on MTV.
That is definitely content worthy, gentlemen. I hope y'all know that.
Let's bleep that out though.
Oh, we will, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Y'all watch.
Just come back to my face, frozen like.
So obviously we can't have 36-year-olds in Congress either. No. I'm just kidding. Love you too.
Ryan, you proved my point.
Oh, that's on camera. I thought I was on camera. Oh no.
Oh no.
Take that, Stu. I got one for you too.
What a good time.
Yeah, that finger gunned that to you.
So, yeah, bottom line, there should be a cutoff, and I mean, there should be term limits in general with every position, like you said, every position out there that actually holds some sort of, I know, it's way too funny, that holds some sort of, again, where you have to be elected by your peers. So,
I hope it gets the conversation rolling because it's definitely a serious issue.
It is a serious issue,
It's a
all
very serious
seriousness.
issue.
And then Dean comes in and says, canceled. We're canceled, y'all.
Oh, we're definitely canceled.
You like censorship, Dean?
Yeah, he does.
Dean and the censorship, man. I thought you were Old Faithful.
Yeah, now he's old censorship.
Old Cincy.
All right, gentlemen. What an episode. Hour 50. We had to get through 2 weeks worth of stuff. It was a lot, but I'm glad we were able to cover it all.
Dean, way to be there for the whole thing, buddy.
Yeah, no joke.
Way to
Good
be
for
there, Old Faithful.
Can we get a recap?
Old Faithful.
Can we get a recap?
So, of the whole episode, what did you guys take away from it?
That 36-year-olds shouldn't be in Congress.
A recap. We have to start destroying fraud, and we have to start cutting out the root causes and stopping the blood flow by paying attention to the loopholes and the issues that are allowing what's happening to be happening in the first place, right? So we have to get rid of that. We have to start holding people accountable regardless of which side of the aisle they're in. Absolutely have to start holding people accountable, because if we don't, we're never going to be able to recover.
This is supposed to be a recap, Nate.
Yeah, and then just
not rehashing
term
the entire
limits,
episode
term
here, buddy.
limits, and age limits.
I was gonna say I got a couple of bullet points here. Term limits.
Yep.
End corruption.
Yep.
Right. End age, like age-based politics.
I like that.
Right. Cut the tumor out.
Cut the tumor out.
Cut the tumor out. Go for the base root of the problem.
Root causes.
Root cause. And aliens.
Had to get the aliens.
Yeah, of course I did. They're here.
They're here.
What am I not? Oh my God, I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
You're not.
Now let's get on that flat Earth. Let's go.
No. Let's go ahead and start ending this episode. So first off, thank you to everybody ever, and I'm going to go through that list. All military personnel, active duty and retired, law enforcement, fire and rescue, doctors, nurses, paramedics, hospital staff, farmers. I love food. Thank you all. Keep feeding us. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Those in American manufacturing, especially like Origin. Thank you, Origin. Thank you to anybody in American manufacturing. Weber Grills. Those in social work, taking care of U.S. citizens. Of course, anybody in social work. So thank you so much for what you do. And last but not least, ethical.
Say it, Nate.
Ethical
Say
congressional
it, Nate. Louder
representatives.
for the people in the back.
Ethical congressional representatives.
See, I think if you got any closer to the mic, you may have fit it, the whole thing. Ethical. All 5 of them that are in Congress, ethical. Term limits, baby. Term limits.
We are here to support you all, the people. So please make sure that you all do everything you can to support us. We ask you that you follow, like, and share across all of our social media platforms. Subscribe, of course.
Don't forget to subscribe.
And with that being said, please share this with those that you agree with, but also make sure you share with those that you disagree with, because ultimately we all have more in common than we don't. We need to come together and we need to prove that. And we're only going to do that by
conversing,
coming together, and understanding that we all have a common goal.
That common goal is to get beamed up to the Federation.
Scotty.
And see what's out there.
With that being said, this was the 133rd
Thank you for
episode of
putting
the
up with
Fact
me,
Is
Nate.
podcast, where aliens are real. And
Aliens are real.
Dean
They're
says his
here.
virgin ears can't handle the language.
That's bullcrap, Dean.
And he says hydrate
It's
or die.
bullcrap. I've heard you out there on that golf course the other day. Don't come at me with those virgin ears.
Hydrate or die.
Hydrate or die.
133rd episode of the Fact Is podcast. Thank you all so much. We were your hosts, Nate Moses.
And I'm Ryan Mays.
And
133 is just slightly older than the oldest congressional person.
Oh. Stuart, any closing remarks, my friend?
Be nice to your neighbor. Get involved in your local communities, like I said. And find somebody that don't look at what you disagree with them on. Try to find a middle ground, what you agree with them on.
That's right.
Because, yeah, like you said, we have more in common than what we don't, and I think that's true.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you all for coming to the 133rd episode of The Fact Is. We will see you all next week for episode 134.